Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya, and of course this is Entrepreneurship Tuesday, and today we are going to talk about a very important topic revolving around entrepreneurs. Today we are going to talk about how small SMEs or entrepreneurs can become export market ready. And to help me with this conversation in studio, I'm joined by Floice Mukabana, who is the CEO of Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency. Karibu sana to the studio.
Asante sana.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you very much.
Okay. To start off, let's talk about, first of all, let's understand what is KEPROBA. Talk about its mandate and its role in enhancing the chances of Kenyan entrepreneurs in accessing international markets.
Thank you very much, Mike, and that's a very good question, because Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency is, as an organization the way we know it, is relatively new. Came into being August 2019, following the merger of the former Brand Kenya Board and the former Export Promotion Council. And that is where we get our mandate from.
Yes.
We have a mandate in export promotion and we have a mandate in nation branding, where what we're looking for in export promotion is to be able to see how we can push Kenyan exports, leveraging on what Kenya is already known for. And that's now where the national brand mandate comes in, where we're trying to position the country positively,
yes,
so that we can be able to position it in readiness for trade, investment, tourism, and just having a positive narrative around our country. So that is our wide mandate. And in that mandate, there are few activities then that make up what export promotion is and what nation branding is. And they, first of all, involve the issue of trying to, the bottom line of it being to ensure that we're able to get linkages, market linkages for exporters here in Kenya to markets abroad. And to be able to do that is actually really a process. It begins by, first of all, being able to undertake market research in the area and the product that you want to push. So you're going to look at consumer tastes and preferences in the market that you want to venture into access. You look at the standards that are required in that market, because that's one of the things that we call non-tariff trade barriers, where they prevent you from getting into their market by probably just making a law like we package our tea in 200 grams. So if it's anything more than 200 grams, you're not able to access. Or they can even have specific technical qualities around it. So the market research element of our work will allow us to be able to position, get the information that is required about our Kenyan exports to the market that we are taking. With that information, that market research, we now say, we want to go to a certain market, and the products that they require are 5 things: tea, coffee, whatever it is, flowers, and these are the standards that are required in that market. And we use that information to create awareness among the exporters in Kenya. And you will find that, and usually that is the case, there's always a gap between what they are producing now and what the market requires. That information is supposed to aid them to now improve product, develop their product in readiness for that market. And that's now the other function that we undertake. We do product development and capacity building through product development, so that when we go to a certain market, the product that is taken to that market is a product that is going to be readily acceptable into that market. And so we have a product development capacity building process where we get entrepreneurs learn about issues of branding, issues of quality required in that market, issues of licensing that will allow you to get into that market. And now the exporter is ready to go to that market. Now that we've reached that stage, the next stage then comes to being able to access. How do we then get into that market? And those are market linkage activities. And as KEPROBA, we try and do that through undertaking trade fairs and exhibitions as one of the ways to get them to introduce their market into the product. We also do buyer-seller missions. So if we are of the opinion that in that market we just there is no trade exhibition, but we want to be able to take our exporters there to learn, even for themselves, to learn about the distributorship, the logistics. So you go and do a buyer-seller mission, make sure you are able to introduce them to the kind of buyers they're expecting to get. Let them negotiate, let them talk. So after buyer-seller missions, we also do business forums where we just discuss, as businessmen, let's discuss. This is what we want in this market, and Kenya, this is what we're offering. Is there a way in which we can be able to work together to get our deals done? And that is now the part that allows us to go into export market development in that area. But even following export market development, there are other issues that will arise. There'll be issues of advocacy where you feel like you're not treated. There are better ways in which you can be able to work with the products that we have in Kenya. So then, if that is the case, we advocate, we look for the issues that are arising, the current issues, and push those issues around. And then we also have that role of ensuring that in all these things that are done, Kenya is viewed positively, so that when you hear of an export issue that does not address the Kenya narrative in a positive way, then we also make sure we have concrete measures to address it. So for example, if you hear there is a problem with tea in Kericho because they are alleging some human rights issues, or with Kakuzi, as a Kenyan organization, we then try and push that narrative positive, to be able to be put in context and also counter that narrative around it. Because most of the time the information that is being given out is not exactly it does not position our products well, and it's not representative of everything that happens. So we also need to push that narrative. So generally that's what KEPROBA does. So with that in mind, how are we able to assist SMEs? So what I would urge SMEs to do, and there's I need to go back and say this very important thing, function which you do, which is called trade advisory services. It allows SMEs to come to us with any question, and then we work together with them to see how we can address it. So the SME can come to us and say, I hear avocados are required in Dubai, or we are selling, there's a market for live animals in Qatar. How can we work together? Or I have tried exporting, which is a case that I'm working on recently. I'm trying to export a new product from molasses, and I am getting information that the country has not done that before, so the licensing regime of them is not available. How can we work together to work with the existing framework so that I can be able to push this product away? So that's the trade advisory services. So then how would I ask SMEs, and how do we assist SMEs? The first step would be for us to be able to give SMEs information about the markets that they require. So through our research function, we're able to give you whichever market you have, and we have information around that market, we'll give you that information. That should be able to allow you to push your product. But maybe your issue is that you're feeling like you have capacity challenges in trying to get from where your product is to allow it to get market access into the market you so desire. So then we actually roll our product development cycle, where we actually do coaching of exporters and people who want to export, to make them export ready. So we look at what your product is, we advise you about the standards that are there, and now we work with you. There's an initial training, we go to on-site training, we try and make sure you get all the standardizations that are there. We work with you to get the export licenses that are necessary. We teach you how to negotiate, because then again, international trade is a totally different arena when it comes to trying to sell. You have to know terms like CIF, FOB, and what they mean. And then we allow you, once you have reached at a level where we think now you have a product and you understand what international trade is, we take you through a test marketing phase, where usually we take you to an exhibition and see how you will carry yourself and whether you'll be able to make sales. And after that is done, we now are able to release you to the market and say, now we have been able to train an exporter This is a well-seasoned exporter. And then that is now where the role of trade advisory services comes in. Because your journey is just beginning, and you'll now be getting specific questions on how to, and you can come back to us, and we can see how we can work together to address any issues that you'll be facing.
So the first thing is for the entrepreneur or a small business to approach the trade advisory and ask for, is it like asking for help and information on how to go about the
information?
Yes.
Significantly.
Yes.
Information. And once we're able to get that information, we can always take you to the next step. Yes.
Now, you mentioned something about exhibitions. I'd love to know, how frequent are these exhibitions? Because, of course, they offer very, very, very important exposure to entrepreneurs. How frequent are these exhibitions? I'm talking about local and international.
So, especially when it comes to exhibitions, they're usually organized around products or around a country. I can tell you, for example, as Kenya Export Promotion, and they are basically annual events. So as Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, we worked towards, in this year we had planned to go for Fruit Logistica, which we did. We wanted to go for SCAR, which is a coffee exhibition, trade exhibition in the States.
Yes.
We wanted to go for World Tea in the States. We are going for Gulf Food in Dubai. So largely they are already organized. The international trade exhibitions that are organized by the various players in that space. So what Kenya needs to do then, to be able to be in that market, is to be able to organize to then participate. And usually it requires for you to get space on that side, on this side, and work towards ensuring that you have buyers on the other side, on the trade exhibition space that is being done. On the Kenyan side, what is expected is for you to have your exporters properly trained, ready with the standards that are required, so that then you can be able to showcase them. It's really an issue of showcasing.
Yes.
And it's an annual event, and as a country, what we then do is to determine which ones of these exhibitions we want to undertake.
Yes.
Some will do, some will not do. But one of the things that Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency does, because there are so many exhibitions based on so many products, we actually do a Kenya Export Market Development Plan, where we invite all these players to tell us which exhibitions are available and which ones we as Kenyans want to participate in. So that then we have a map, we have a calendar of events. And the calendar of events is shared among exporters, export stakeholders in the country.
So we are going to come back, and we are going to talk about how small businesses or business owners can conform to the export regulations and customs requirement, but we'll do that after this short break. Thank you for watching Good Morning Kenya. This is Entrepreneurship Tuesday. And before we went on a break, I wanted to know from you, CEO, how can small businesses conform with export requirements and customs regulations?
That's very interesting, Mike. And I'll tell you, as a country, the infrastructure for us to have quality assurance standards are available through Kenya Bureau of Standards, and for plants we have KEPROBA,
yes,
which is plant health, and for animals we have the Directorate of Veterinary Services. So they actually are the ones who will be able to certify. Usually, as one of the things that export requires is there'll always be a certification of the standards. Some certification standards are kind of like commercialized.
Yes.
So we have traceability, we have global gap.
Yes.
So that you work towards going through a process of quality assurance by going to that organization, and they'll give you the steps. This is what the standard entails, and let's see how you have adhered to the standards. If they find the standards are properly adhered to, they will give you a certificate.
Yes.
And based on that certificate, that certificate will be talking about you having quality assurance of the product that you're having, and you can be able to now sell. There'll be recognition of the same in the global market.
Yes.
So what I'd urge exporters to do is, number one, to be able to have a familiarity of the product that they have and the standards that are required for that product. So for example, if it's a product related to pharmaceuticals, there's a pharmaceutical product that you need to do.
Yes.
And in conjunction with that, the standards that are required, then you're able to move it to Kenya Bureau of Standards, and you're able to get your certification and then use it as a basis. So it's important for you to find out the certification system that is there, and for you to be able to work towards ensuring that you comply to it and get the certification. It's a process, it's an audit and the certification. Okay. Now, when it comes to customs regulations, first of all, as a country, there is KENTRADE, where all the regulations for what you are required to export, it's a single window that allows you to lodge all your documents. So when you use the KENTRADE single window, you should be able to be guided about the regulations that are necessary for the products, because they are very product specific. Yeah. There's never one that is general. Yes. So I won't be able to sit here and give you the whole beginning to end. It is very determined, specific to the product that you want to export. Yes.
Speaking of quality assurance, maybe talk about, according to you, what is the importance of having quality assurance for small businesses, especially the ones that are seeking to export?
So as I'd mentioned to you earlier, the certification and quality assurance is really going to be based on the product and the market that you want to export. So the first thing that you'll have to do is to be able to appreciate the product that you want to sell. So is it horticulture? Is it animals? So if it's horticulture and plant-based, your go-to institution is going to be KEPHIS, Kenya Plant Health Institute. Yeah. That is going to take you through the process of certification. And it's actually known as the National Competent Authority on Plant Health. Yes. So they will be able to guide you about these horticultural products. Yes. These are the certifications you require. This is where you actually have not yet gotten the standard, and this is what you need to do to achieve it. And you'll hear sometimes once in a while that there has been interceptions of, for example, horticultural products. Yeah. This is where, when they reach the other side, they believe the standards were not met, and then they intervene and ask for you to be able to do corrective measures, and that is done in conjunction with KEPHIS. That is basically, and especially when you look at our export products, it's usually tea, horticulture, and coffee. Yes. So the one that usually has issues, especially when it comes to standardization, is horticulture, because it's a fresh product, it has a lifespan. But our sister organization, KEPHIS, has been working together with business member organizations around horticulture to see how best to bridge that gap. And it's even interesting because horticulture is something that is really something that our country is looking as our way of improving our exports. And given that our major export market is the EU, even the ambassadors around the EU, together with the organizations here and the business member organizations. For horticulture, the business members organizations are FPIC, Kenya Flower. We actually have a national horticultural task force where we pick up these issues and find out what we can do about correcting them and about being able to ensure that we have very little interventions when we come into the international market.
Yes. Yeah. Now, can SMEs or small entrepreneurs access export financing, especially if they're looking to venture into foreign markets? Yes.
But there you brought up a very interesting topic, because export finance, the whole topic of trying to export, because first of all, it is going to be more expensive than if you were to sell to somebody here. Yes. Because it will have an increment in cost. You'll also have to do insurance. You'll also have to do due diligence. So it's going to be more expensive for you to sell a product away than here. Yes. Then there's also the issue that you're not so sure that of the person you're talking to on the other side. You don't know the remedies in terms of legal that should be able to get you to have some form of comfort that I will get my money. And then there's also the issue that it takes longer for you to get paid. Maybe here you'll say it's plus 30 days, But because of the way the international trade is, it's going to be longer. So you're going to spend a longer time without financing. So that export financing has always been seen as an impediment to push people into exports. And it needs to be addressed. However, in the context of our country, there isn't a specific organization that deals with export financing from a perspective of government. However, because of the nature of what exports are, it has been a domain of quite a number of our banks to be able to talk to the exporters so that they can be able to finance them, either through a letter of credit, largely through a letter of credit and documentary evidence, just to support them, to be able to, first of all, to get some assurance about who they are selling to, and being able to ensure that once the product reaches to the other side and it's been taken over by the exporter, that they're able to now get their funds once everything has been done have been done according to the contract that they have set. Export finance is actually a very large topic, and we can continue talking about it for very long.
Yes.
And for us, and it's a good thing you brought it up, as a country, what then we need to do is to also see whether there can be government interventions that will support export financing from a government perspective. I know people want to say government needs to get out of doing business and just work towards policy and implementation of the policy. But if especially your focus is going to be SMEs, and it's going to be people at that level, maybe there's some form of intervention that can be done. Yes.
Now, how, as an agency, how do you collaborate with other stakeholders to create a positive image, especially for the Kenyan market on the international space?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, the export value chain.
Yes.
By the time you produce,
yes, to
the point from, if you were to use farm to fork, by the time you farm to somebody enjoying your product in whichever country, you have got very many stakeholders, very many. You start from the production perspective. And you see production will also be informed from the market preferences of that market, because you will be producing something that is not required. I remember a case in point is the issue of Makueni. Was it Kitui that had a certain kind of green gram, and they had intended to take it to the Indian market, only to find that it was not acceptable in the Indian market. It is not their consumer taste or preference. Okay. So it begins by, first of all, being able to work with producers. So in all these products that we have, where we have horticulture, we have tea, coffee. So we have tea board, that's one of the people who we have to work with.
Yes.
We have coffee board and AFA. We have horticulture, which is now the Agricultural Foods Association. So we have to be, first of all, at the point of production. Then after production,
we apologize for that technical hitch, but Good Morning Kenya continues. And we were talking about collaborations between your agency and other stakeholders within the market to enhance chances of SMEs achieving or getting into international markets.
So as I was mentioning, the export value chain is very long.
Yes.
It starts from production, and there are players in the production. So we first of all have farmers. So we, at that point at the production level, then as farmers in the private sector, then we also have business member organizations for each one of them. So whichever, there's going to be, for each of the products that we have, there's going to be a business member organization that we have to deal with. There's going to be a government agency that works with, deals with the policy and production issues around that product. So we have Tea Board of Kenya, Coffee Board of Kenya, Agricultural Food Authority of Kenya. We'll have Directorate of Veterinary Services, and we also have the ministries itself under each. Even as we speak at that level of government agencies, they also report to ministries. So there'll be Ministry of Livestock, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Agriculture. When you're looking at what it is, Ministry of ICT, because again, ICT has become one of the things that Kenya is being known for.
Exactly.
In one of the organizations that we've been dealing with, specifically in Germany, they have an import promotion desk that is trying to push and get IT into Germany from Kenya, either as a company, largely as a product, ICT products into the German market, or as well as individuals.
Yes.
So you find that all of these have a business member organization. So you have to work with the business member organization.
Yes.
And in all these markets, you're dealing with markets, foreign markets. That means you're dealing with people, the ambassadors in that country, Kenyan ambassadors in the country that you want to access,
Yes.
as well as the country's representatives here in Kenya. And then we also have their chambers of commerce. All of them, or most of these countries have chambers of commerce. So the export ecosystem, value chain ecosystem is very broad. It's very broad, and that's how it should be, because by nature, trade, international trade is a wide scope of activities that everybody has a player, and they're all integrated towards a certain objective.
Yes. Let's go back to capacity building. You mentioned something about capacity building, and I'd love to know what sort of trainings are there and that you carry out, and what does it entail?
Okay.
Yes.
So we have various forms of capacity building. If I was to refer to the last one that we did, which was with the TFO Trade Finance Canada,
yes,
it was to assess the export readiness of exporters. They actually were coming here to see whether they would like to bring in Canadian buyers to buy our products. But to do that, they have to make sure that the Kenyan products then are okay.
Yes.
So then we'd have a capacity building around it, where they look at the products that you have, the international standards of the product, your capacity to supply, because that's the other thing. You could bring for us a product, but you do not have the capacity. If they give you an order for one container every week or every month, it might be beyond your capacity. So they also look at your capabilities of producing, so that then they can shortlist you. And that's basically around the number of organizations that work around it. Other than the Canadian one, we've done the same thing with the German one, and we've done the same thing with the Swedish one. So that's part of the capacity building we do, just to understand who you are. So that then if we're going to give you buyers from this country, they know your capability, how much they can order from you, your quality of product. But the one that is even more important for export trade in terms of bringing exports from trying to get an SME to become an exporter is a very large one. We actually have what we call an exporters academy, readiness academy.
Wow.
Because there are many aspects to it. Finance, we've just talked about finance.
Yes.
One of the issues that faces Kenyan products is actually the branding of the product in terms of global competitiveness, because you might be having a good product. And by the way, most of Kenyan's products are good. Internationally, they're actually the best in some instances.
Yes.
But however good they are, if I'm a retailer in an international market and I see you've packaged it in a certain way, and there's somebody probably with a lesser quality who branding is more appealing, then I will pick the more appealing one.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we actually train them on: branding, marketing, negotiations. So there's usually a whole array of trainings and capacity building that we give to an MSME to allow them to be able to access the international market.
Yes.
The other thing then we also, maybe I need to bring about, is we have an e-portal. Because we realize that the issue of having structured training might not be sufficient to allow you. It might conflict with your time. So in our e-portal, that's where we have our Exporters Readiness program. You're able to access these modules depending on when you need them, because it's actually a process. And also with our e-portal, it allows you to register either as an exporter, so that people can be able, and what you export, so that anybody who has an interest in what you're selling, if I'm going to, let's say, leather bags, and I've put myself in my profile that I sell leather bags, anybody who wants to buy leather bags from Kenya can know, if I want to buy leather bags from Kenya, these are the 5 entrepreneurs, and I can engage them. do my own due diligence and see whether something can come out. So that at least it gives you some form of where you can begin the training. So the capacity building is actually wide, and it has many models. So we can have that, or we can have 1-2 days. Sometimes even it just comes in the form of, let us hear from you what your journey has been in exports. So are there issues you're having, and what do you think we can be able to do? And we do border forums, cross-border forums around them, about our traders and what they require from us and how we can be able to work with them to address issues that are coming up.
Yes. What gives Kenya an edge as an investment, trade, and tourism destination?
Yeah, Mike, that's a very good question, and you should be happy because in positioning the country, one of the things that Kenya is known for is a young, vibrant, educated, intellectual workforce. Yes. That means then when you invest in Kenya, you should be able to get your needs in terms of employment. But really, Kenya is an investment destination because, number one, we are a logistic hub into East and Central Africa. Our infrastructure from Mombasa, port, the road network, and our airlines allow us to be able to be a logistic hub within the country. And when you look at it from the context of AFCFTA, East African Community, and the COMESA region, you realize then you have a market of around 500 people using Kenya as a hub. But we also are a country that has got good infrastructure. Our financial system is good. Our business environment is actually also one of the best in the country. So then all these factors combine to make us a very attractive destination for trade, investment, and trade. And as a country, and tourism. And as a country, there are some few things we are known for. Our products, I've told you they're the very best in most of the instances. We're also known for our prowess in athletics. It's a positioning in sports. It's a positioning that we have. And the other one that we have is also with regard to our safari and Big Five. Yes. So there's a lot we can talk about that makes, first of all, positions the country. And after positioning it, the infrastructure, the advantages that you get so that you can be able to invest in trade, tourism, and investment. There are quite a number. It's actually, Kenya is a competitive one. We're actually a very good country to be with. Yes. Not to mention that in Nairobi we have the headquarters, we have an international headquarters of the UN. We have a national park. There are quite a number of things that can be used to position the country. Yes.
For an entrepreneur or a small business owner who is watching you right now, maybe you could talk about the benefits of exporting to foreign markets to help them think wider.
So there are actually quite a number of benefits. First of all, it's an issue of increasing your reach. You first of all had a market base of, let's say, in Kenya you have 50. If you decide to go to the international market, your market base is 50 million. That means the world is your oyster. Yes. That's number one. Yeah. Then there's also the issue of being able to position yourself competitively. So it allows you to benchmark with the very best. And the kind of morale that you get after benchmarking and coming out to be among the top ones really is something that encourages you to invest more in the country. It encourages you to learn more about it and even become more innovative about the products that you want to undertake as you're continuing. So there's a lot that can be, that an MSME can gain from being an exporter. Yes. So
also the aspect of leveraging on information. We are living in a world that is now connected by, let's say, social media. What is the importance of capitalizing on that aspect in as far as getting information on export is concerned?
Information is key. Yes. Actually, one of the reasons why trade becomes such a difficult subject to delve in is the information asymmetry that is required. So you have a product, you don't know that there's a market for it urgently being needed somewhere else. But if you had that information, then you'd be able to bridge and go and access the market that is necessary. Information as well about the standards that that market requires. It's also very important for you then to be able to understand that information before you package. If I'm going to a certain market, I need to understand what are the standards that are there. So I need to have that information. And I'm glad you said that information has, it's now something with the connectivity of internet, something that you can be able to access. So what we do is that there are actually trade think tanks. They're actually equivalents of KEPROBA across all countries, which you can be able to use the information in their portal to package yourself. And where there are gaps, as I said, there's always the trade advisory services at Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency that you can leverage on to get more information.
Do you, as an agency, also use social media to reach people?
Social media becomes a very important tool for communication, noticing that we also have a nation brand mandate, which really is about alignment of narrative. So you really have to be the one then pushing the narrative. So social media is something that we actually, as KEPROBA, work on we have embraced and use it to push the narrative. We've even been able to do webinars when it needed to be. Interconnectivity, we've actually been able to push, and it's something that we value.
Let's talk about, as we wind up, what is the future of Kenyan entrepreneur who wants to export?
So that's a very good question. The future for a Kenyan entrepreneur who wants to export, first of all, the world is your oyster. You can sell anything. And that is why embracing e-commerce and the use of our e-portal. So we have been known for traditional products, but we are telling the Kenyan exporter, don't be confined to those traditional exporters. Produce something that has a niche, and then use e-commerce to push it forward. Yes.
Thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you.
We have been talking to Floice Mukabana, who is the CEO of Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency. This has been Entrepreneurship Tuesday here on Good Morning Kenya. And this is where we come to the end of this show. And on behalf of my colleagues, Vivian Degwa, Victor Olo, Ray Manyara, this is where we come to the close of the show. My name is Migwi. Enjoy watching KBC Channel 1.